our last very exciting session, our innovation panel. So first, I would like to welcome Alyssa Coughlin, our panel moderator. Alyssa is the Global Director of Industry Strategic Partnership Management at Unity. She is a growth leader with 20 years of experience driving strategy, partnerships, and platform development in the technology and consulting space. Thank you, Alyssa. Woo! Next up, we have Rock Arevic, who is the VP of Engineering Visualization at TomTom. Rock is a technical director, senior software engineer with long-term experience in multiple fields of game industry, including PC, online, consoles, and embedded systems. He has broad domain expertise encompassing areas of game development from top to bottom, high-level architecture and design to lower-level and HW-dependent optimizations. Thank you for being here, Rock.
Not everyone noticed, but TomTom went from an on-car giant to an in-car technology specialist. And under the hood, it's turned into a trusted high-tech partner for almost every big vehicle brand out there. And that's great for drivers who get to enjoy TomTom's unique benefits in a wide variety of vehicles. One benefit being, for instance, arriving on time for your meeting, no matter the traffic, weather, or range of your vehicle. As vehicles are getting smarter, so is the TomTom tech built in. TomTom keeps setting new standards and will continue to do so because of its two not-so-secret ingredients, experience and experience. An experienced workforce and experienced AI. These get you a future-proof map that supports automated driving, best-in-class navigation, and market-leading live services like hazard warnings and traffic information, smart SDKs to build your applications with, or the smart applications to build your dashboards with. You're starting to get the picture. TomTom's technology is flexible, just like our people. They don't develop for you, they develop with you, with local offices and support all around the world. Any OEM with a global footprint knows why this is crucial. Want to know more? Join the conversation and find out why TomTom's technology is already in more than 50 vehicle brands across 6 continents.
Next up, we have Dr. Ryan Moore. I'm going to start the video as well. And he is the director of the Heart Institute Digital Media and 3D Modeling Program in the Cincinnati Children's Hospital. Ryan is an experienced associate professor in pediatric cardiology with a demonstrated history of working in the hospital and within the healthcare industry. For the past 15 years, Ryan has worked at the Cincinnati Children's Hospital as Director of Innovation and is skilled in 3D visualization, medical education, pediatrics, patient safety, and 3D modeling. And here we're seeing some incredible video of the work that you've done. Awesome. Thank you, Ryan, for being here. And finally, we have Alexander Omri. Alexander is the Chief Technology and Innovation Officer at Capgemini, one of our strategic partners, and is a member of the Capgemini Technology Innovation and Ventures Council. He leads the immersive technologies domain, analyzing trends and developing deployment strategies.
What if technology made life better? Where people could do more and be part of more. Where we are more caring to each other and to our planet. Where over 340,000 colleagues unleash human energy through harnessing cloud, data, and AI to bring ideas to life every day. Like making pharmaceuticals easily available to you, both faster and cheaper. by developing entirely AI-generated drugs. Or by implementing clean air zones via predictive AI in cities to improve the quality of the air you breathe. Leveraging 3D gaming technology to ensure your new furniture ordered online is dispatched from the warehouse in less than 2 hours. Helping you put your customers at the heart of your business with efficient processes. Or transforming your experience of retail with personalized and bespoke shopping experiences. Making the next generation of edge computing a reality so manufacturers can get their products to you quicker. Or tackling our global food shortages by enabling production of high-yield, profitable crops. Harnessing quantum tech, from personalizing cancer drug therapies to predicting financial market instabilities, all to improve your quality of life. Or breaking the shackles of luxury retail to improve your experience and satisfaction, all through the metaverse. This is how we innovate. Capgemini. Get the future you want.
Welcome, Alexandra. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you all so much for being here. The focus of this panel is to discuss what it means to truly embrace innovation and how businesses need to fearlessly adopt new technology, new ideas, regardless how big they are, and how to pivot their strategies when needed to drive continued success. We've heard from a lot of different industries today. I'm excited to now hear from healthcare, from navigation and automotive, and from our strategic partners, Capgemini, who have a view of the entire landscape across industries, use cases, and geographies around the world. I'm going to start with a pretty open-ended question for all of you, but an important one. What does innovation mean to your organizations today? You want to start here, Ron?
Sure. Well, I guess one thing that specifically resonates with me is because my organization, it's kind of the face of our products because we work in visualization even before we started working with Unity. And so innovation is really about how are we able to delight our customers, be it end users or the business partners that we're working with. So it's always looking for these opportunities of pushing the envelope a bit further in how we present our products. And having the freedom to do this quickly and effectively, it's key, right? Innovation can't come if you're bogged down with slow processes and turnarounds, and your development cannot quickly iterate on ideas. So it is really about iteration speeds, collaborative models, exchange of ideas.
Wonderful, thank you. Ryan?
Yeah, so at Cincinnati Children's, I would say, innovation is a word that comes around a lot and I think gets a lot of attention. I would like to focus on, really for us, digital health innovation and what that means, because really we are experiencing at this point like a digital transformation in healthcare and how we can really apply that to our patients and families. And we, in healthcare, mostly care about what are the outcomes that matter. And that's kind of the Cincinnati Children's tagline, is changing the outcomes together, meaning that we're working directly with our patients and families, our partners like Unity, and our providers to be able to change that.
Thank you.
Yeah, can you hear me? Yes. As you know, we were addressing various industries. So what we are doing with our client is rebuilding a continuum of innovation. So starting from really the weak signals that you can capture, the next technology trend that you can anticipate, that we can also incubate. How we are putting this into test and learn. So that's the reason why we have now several labs in various domains, like immersive metaverse, like GenAI, quantum, now synthetic biology as well. And then we are applying this. So this is about leveraging our applied innovation exchange network. How we could apply this to concrete business use cases. What problem does it solve? What is the business value that it can bring, but also the value for users. This is where we are focusing, and value for society as well. So that's why we're also putting sustainability at the core. And then the key things for us is to scale. So how we could transition from innovation to our actual portfolio group offer, and how we are working with all our units. We have a lot of units addressing various industries to bring this at scale, and of course leveraging our ecosystem of partners you're part of, including hyperscalers, but also our venture capabilities and our startup catalyst capability as well.
Great, thank you. Rock, you introduced a product, I don't know how many years ago, but I believe it was one of the fastest selling consumer-facing technologies ever. Certainly disruptive and innovative, and for those of us who have no sense of direction, a total game changer and a tendency to be late. So thank you for everything you've done. I'm curious to hear how your business strategy has changed, particularly in the context of all of the rapid change that we're all in this room a part of, and how you're looking at innovation in immersive technologies across industries and across the ecosystem.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's obviously the world has changed a lot, and TomTom has been changing with it. And yeah, we used to be a very consumer product-facing company in the origins. We have since transformed quite substantially into the more service and software company, which is also working as the optimal partner for B2B type of engagements. So not just we still build end consumer products, but that is no longer the primary business model. And with that, yeah, we've also changed our focus to be more data-driven, more driven with the map was always at the core of the product, but now it is really part of our overarching strategy. It wasn't mentioned in this specific video, but we announced last year our ambition to build the world's best real-time map, and that is still very much the company mission statement today, which goes back to also, of course, the things we mentioned about how we are able to work quickly, scale workflows to be fast, and also for that to be an end-to-end product. Map data may be updated in real time, but if it doesn't show in the consumer device in real time, the user still doesn't see it. So that's where my teams, for example, come in, where we take the map data, transform it, and put it on devices, and that still has to happen within minutes of a map change.
It's a bold vision, and one that we really value at Unity, a map of the world, because there are implications in just about every industry and the use cases that it can bring with real-time 3D as well. So we cheer you on in that journey. Ryan, you've built an immersive experience to help with congenital heart surgery, one of the most complex surgical procedures in modern surgery. What made you realize that VR was the right approach to take?
Yeah, so I think for us, and I think a lot of people don't know, but the congenital heart defect is the #1 birth defect that a baby can be born with, and it's also the #1 cause of death in infants worldwide. And so I think for us, that mission, obviously, I'm a pediatric cardiologist and I work a cardiac surgeon, so that rang true to us. And I'm trained in 3D space. I kind of went to school for art, failed out of that, became a cardiologist. And so, that digital arts and gaming side had always been very intuitive to me and an area that I was always interested in, but I wanted to bring that into the hospital world. And then how do I do that, and what are the areas that we do it for? So a surgeon, who I think, again, is important to note, they're not into their 40s by the time they do their first operation, not to freak anybody out, but that's just the reality of the training and the intensity that it requires. And so by the time that they are operating on their patient for the first time, they've had years and years of training, but that still first time is the first patient that they'll ever have. So I think two things kind of rang true with us using Unity and a digital twin and real-time data, is the fact that we have to get that patient that's about to have the operation right in front of the surgeon in a digital form so that they can use that or they can plan out that operation directly and individualize that care. And then second, as much as I love my surgical colleagues, they're not great at the mouse to laptop interface. And so in a 3D space, they can't really manipulate and move things around. So that's where VR became a very natural thing for them to go into that environment, use either their hands or controllers to be able to interact directly with the patient data. And I'm also just proud to say that we've been on this venture now for about 8 years. We partnered with Unity last year to build this platform that really makes it super easy for surgeons. So a lot of emphasis on the UI UX components of it, really tailored to the surgeon. And a patient that's being operated on right now, our surgeon planned out the operation on just a day ago. So we're able to get the imaging, get that integrated in there, and have the surgeon plan it. And anecdotally, we've had several patients, these young children who are having first-time operations that are doing phenomenal. And our kind of call to this is now, how do we spread this worldwide? And again, with Unity and the ability to move the platform into spaces and any way that we can, I think that's really why we're excited about this technology.
That's interesting. You made me think of training in general has become such a big use case across industries for us. Growing number of our clients are leveraging our technology for that. And as you were talking, it made me think, there's a first time for everyone in any new job. And sometimes the stakes are higher, whether it's heart surgery or in military operations, and you don't know all of the variables until you're there. And leveraging this immersive training in advance creates a higher probability of success early on, especially until experience has been gained.
Yeah, and really just one other thing to add on to that is, our users as being surgeons and not starting their first operation until they're in their 40s, they're in their 50s now that are this, expert surgeons, and getting them to adopt the gaming idea wasn't as easy as it is now when we have our patients who actually, is on the video, go in there and plan the operation with the surgeon. So we're training our future surgeons now as young kids who, are probably inevitably getting an operation that they'll then in the future be able to plan out.
Yeah, that's really true. Thank you. Alexandra, you, as mentioned, are working across so many different industries and thought leaders and academia and investors and so forth. You really have a vantage point on how the market is shifting. And you've heard of a lot of industries and use cases today. How are you seeing clients looking at the business case for investing in this type of technology? And where are you seeing it more? And where do you see it under leveraged, where it really should be a greater investment?
Yeah, I think definitively the really where you can see most of the traction is around the employee experience. Mm-hmm. This is really what we currently could see in every industry. So you talk, and obviously training, training, learning, education is really where we can see the biggest project that we are currently addressing. So there's a huge perspective around immersive training and learning. So that's and including public sector, defense, but every sector we can see initiative around this. But it's also about onboarding, hiring, how we could be prepared for to address the digital natives that will be the future employees. So we are working with various companies in CPG, retail, other sectors as well, where onboarding and training is really critical. We can better attract and retain the employees. You of course have it's still emergent, but the industrial metaverse is now something we can see in most of the manufacturing industries, but not only, because we're also discussing with this with a retailer potentially, but it's also for oil and gas, for everything, where we can transition from the digital twin that we use to deploy for various means, which was really silo-based, not necessarily accessible from everywhere, and how we could put a human rendering on this. How you can make it much more collaborative, accessible from everywhere. How you can make sure that you can represent anything. You can not only represent one thing, but a whole system, a whole factory. So how multiple digital twins could collaborate inside a virtual environment, and including humans. So this is the thing that we are now seeing, but it's of course mid-long-term project with clients. And the last one, and to your point on what could be improved, I guess we are still engaging into the CX. You know that, of course, metaverse is less hype from a consumer standpoint, but a lot of brands and organizations continue to invest on what would be the future of the online interaction. A lot of things to do here as well, potentially things to improve. Maybe we will talk about this later, but again, because of the digital native that will be the future consumer, there's also a traction here that we can see, and a lot of things that could happen with the new technology coming in next year.
I'd love to ask one follow-up question on that. So you mentioned metaverse, right? And there was tremendous hype and excitement around the metaverse, also confusion, a lot of experimentation. But there were different types of metaverse, and you mentioned the industrial metaverse, which I personally have always been very excited about because it is more about the employee experience and being able to share data, share insights, communicate more effectively, communicate in real time to the right parties and so forth. My question for you is, how do you see digital twins as part of industrial metaverse? Is it just one piece of an industrial metaverse? How do you describe industrial metaverse?
Yeah, you're right. I think the term metaverse remains really hype when it comes to industrial metaverse. So this is the only way we can talk about metaverse without being old school and talking about technology that is now 10 years old. But that's it. For the consumer side, we have to find another name.
Yeah.
We are all working
Agreed.
hard on this. Nothing changed, but we have to find another name. That's it. The digital twin is definitively from our perspective, the key foundation. This is really the starting point. So we are not starting from scratch, because otherwise you can't, of course, transform all the operational process from design, build, operate, and ultimately sales. It is not possible if you are not starting with the digital twin concept that is already deployed in many industries and companies. So this is the baseline that we are now leveraging to accelerate on that turn.
So you would say it's foundational to the journey towards
again,
industrial
it's how much
metaverse.
more about, okay, there's multiple digital twins. This is the concept that you're creating, which is called the Internet of Digital Twins.
Yep.
How all digital twins could now communicate, including humans, to really enable a lot of advanced simulation and realistic simulation. And thanks to AI coming and a lot of things that you could expect from this, how we can simulate everything before actually building or at least designing things.
I think it probably also allows for greater communication across the ecosystem as companies build up digital twins and can start connecting more effectively with partners and adjacent industries and so forth. So that leads me to another question for you, Rock. How much of an advantage is real-time technology for your business, the truly real-time aspect of it? For example, being able to make changes in real time to react to customer requests.
I mean, it's absolutely foundational. It's at the heart of pretty much everything we do. Like back to what I mentioned earlier about the real-time map, but also beyond that, right? Just working with customers directly when we are building products together, like automotive OEMs, the ability to actually give them the power to make these changes directly and collaborate on the same maybe scene or environment that is being built. It just cuts down the turnaround times by multiple orders of magnitude. So we are looking at unprecedented rise in productivity there. Obviously, the customers are generally much happier with that, and it helps us to innovate faster. Well, both sides really. But it's also, in the end, what consumer experience is. It's also all about the real-time aspect of it, right? If performance of the final product is not seamless and really gives that continuity of experience, right? There should be no visible stutter or other elements present. That is really what the consumers perceive as a quality product as well. Is the premiumness feel beyond just the raw visual. You see the real-time aspects of everything. So it's both workflows and the end products that are fundamentally built on this.
Thank you. Ryan, switching back to the consumer experience, in your case, the patient experience, and the broader, the family, the parents, you almost had me in tears over coffee this morning. It's so powerful. Can you tell us a bit about how the journey you're on and what you're building on Unity is changing the experience that your providers, your surgeons are having interacting with the patient before surgery and afterwards?
Yeah, no, for sure. So, as a pediatrician, so taking care of young patients, my patient is the child, but obviously when you're taking care of a child, any of us who are parents know that you're taking care of the entire family for the most part. And so the gaming side of that, is easy for me with the patient because they love it. And, they could be getting, we've gotten a 5-year-old in there who's getting surgery, in the next day, and they're just, having a grand time and they're loving it. And that's just the beauty of pediatrics, is that these kids are so resilient in everything that they do, and the ability for them to just I think the biggest hurdle for us is trying to speak the language that they speak. So gaming and being able to do this kind of stuff is the language they speak. So we've, had phenomenal just early experience with getting patients in the VR experience and having them understand what it is that's going to happen. And I hate to say it again, surgeon's not here, so I can say this, but they're in there planning a surgery with the surgeon. Surgeon's in his 50s, kids in his young age. They might be a little bit better at some of the stuff that they're planning at times, but it's good for our surgeons because they can learn new techniques from their patients. And then from the parent perspective, and speaking as a parent of 2 kids, we've had a lot of moms who have started to cry in the headsets because they never understood what their child's condition was before, or what their anatomy was. And so I think again, for us, it's totally transformational because the way that we can now level that playing field where we had this level of knowledge of what it is about the medical conditions, and bringing the parents and the kids at that same level really just changes how we can care for families and how they can care for themselves, because ultimately the parent and the child is that's your primary caregiver, that's your first responder. Those are the people that we are really wanting to get to be able to do this. And I think that excitingly with this partnership with Unity, we're able to do that.
Well, I'm just thrilled with the work and success you're having at Cincinnati Children's Hospital, and congratulations on becoming the new #1 children's hospital.
Thank you.
But I'm even more encouraged to hear that you had 500 people come through at Mobile World Congress when you were showcasing this, and that you're seeing a lot of movement and progress across the healthcare industry. It's not just unique to Cincinnati's, though. Obviously, you're a trendsetter and early mover in the pack.
Yeah, it's been amazing in healthcare. I mean, I think one of the things we've learned with our developers, so we've been able to pluck them from, we're in Cincinnati, Ohio, and people know Cincinnati, Ohio only for maybe some of the sports teams, but also Procter and Gamble's there. It's a small company that makes everything, and then Kroger, which is one of the larger grocery chains in the U.S. And so since in Cincinnati, it's Procter and Gamble, Kroger, and Cincinnati Children's, and pretty much everybody's employed by one of those. And it is amazing because we've been able to pluck developers, Unity developers from those organizations, and also from the gaming and movie industry, because they want to have some sense of purpose. And we've seen this trend now in this development community, that you've got developers who are looking for, what am I going to, I know I'm going to work hard, and I'm going to work late hours. They're very great for the hospital system because we stay up late too, and so we can all do our Red Bulls and stay up all night and work on things for our patients. And I think they see that sense of purpose. They've actually been able to interact directly with our patients for a lot of this, and I think again that is for this group of people, the development community, them being able to do that for the first time, is you're going to see again a huge shift into this market.
Awesome. Alexandra, there's a lot of attention on AI right now. How do you think client organizations should be looking to adopt AI as part of an immersive technology strategy or journey? What is your point of view?
Yeah, of course, there's an incredible traction on AI for a lot of things, but when it comes to the experience and particularly the immersive experience, I'm thinking at a few things. Number one, I think we are just at the beginning of what really means the next digital interaction. think about the realistic and pieces that we could hope. So virtual agent concept, that's just incredible, the thing that we can hope to get from this. What if you can interact with your personal advisor from I don't know, in the banking, insurance sectors, but public services as well. You can interact with your personal advisor while he's not available. And it's your personal advisor, and you can have a natural discussion with natural language with him. We get advice, of course, not necessarily for all the things, but probably more than 50%. So a lot of things that we could hope from this. From an industrial standpoint, of course, when it comes to simulations, that will change a lot of things. Unlimited number of scenarios that you can run, including for training. But think about also how you can simulate human behaviors into the industrial landscape. What does that mean if you could virtually build a team with their skills, their role, and how you could orchestrate this virtually to shape your team as much as you can before really actually deploying the team. So it's not only about simulating our assets are working together with machine and things like that, but it's also about human themselves that you can simulate behaviors. So yeah, all those kind of things. Of course, AI will contribute to reduce the time that we need to design, and especially when it comes to design things for 3D and realistic rendering, so that will enable a lot of use cases, because for some time it's too much time consuming, so we have to progress. These are the few things that come into my mind.
I want to do a quick follow-up question on that. I know sustainability is a core value at Capgemini, and something you're working with clients across the board as a metric, a success metric of investment in digital transformation. I'm curious if you see AI helping achieve some of those sustainability outcomes for clients.
Yeah, probably. That's a really complex topic. So we consider that we can now design new solutions without keeping the sustainability at the core. So that's the key thing. So we definitely need to improve things. On the sustainability, I would say by design, those technologies, so including Immersive, metaverse, online experiences, are supposed to improve things because of the reduced carbon footprint that you can expect. Think about the industrial sectors, where, of course, thanks to simulation, you reduce the mobilization of physical assets, but also physical office, plants, factories. So you can improve a lot of things. We are also working with clients that are using those technology to educate on what does mean really the climate change, thanks to VR, AR. So that a lot of things that you can expect. But of course, we have to address the dark side of it, which is the energy consumption. This is a key thing. And we improved a lot. I don't know if you're aware, but when you are following a 1 hour video conference, it's up to 1,000 grams of CO2 that you are raising into the atmosphere. So that's really huge. And with 3D coming potentially in the next generation of the internet, that will be really a huge things that we have to tackle. Green IT is progressing. In the past few years, we multiplied the data that has been exchanged over the internet by 17, and at the same time, we increased the energy consumption by 10%. So things are really progressing. So we can see also net zero blockchains, a lot of things. We can think also about the design, how it could improve things. Do we really need to have ultra-realistic things for everything? No, probably no. So yeah, I think this is really key to address this.
Fantastic. So I know we're going to open it up to the audience soon. Do I have time for one more question for all of the panelists? And then we'll open it up. Great. Okay, so I'm going to go around and hear everyone's response to the following. Based on your experience, tell us in one sentence, what is your best piece of advice for organizations looking to develop their immersive technology program? Anyone like to start?
Can I use ChatGPT for my one sentence? Because
that's your advice. Use ChatGPT.
Can you write this in one sentence?
Yeah, summarize it.
I could probably do it faster than I can do it on my phone.
You can use it can be several sentences.
I mean, I could start. I mean, I think from our standpoint is, we have to see where the value is, and for us again, how is it going to improve the outcome for what it is that we want to do? And obviously, we're in healthcare, but I think that works universally. Is what's the value that we're adding with the tool that we're bringing to it, and then what is the outcome that we're able to measure with that?
Yep. Nice. Ron?
I would say probably focus on the what is the workflow you're trying to achieve with it, because immersive sim can be a fantastic multiplier and enabler, but only if your workflows have that quick loop that is allowing you to try things and fail at them quickly or succeed. So it is also at the core of why most of us, I think, have chosen Unity in the first place, because it enables so much of that out of the box. But yeah, and don't be afraid to experiment. That would be maybe the second squeeze in.
That's great. Alexander?
Of course, we need to ask first the good question: what problem does it solve? What new capability that you can bring? What is the value for user? What is ultimately the business value, of course, for the organization? And more importantly, spend time of the experience design. You have to reach audiences, potentially new audiences, audiences that you don't know. We don't know what will be the behavior of digital natives, so we have to anticipate this, and we have to retain this. So it's all about the experience design. So this is a huge step that you have to follow. And the last thing is that, of course, you need to be prepared for scale. And for that, you need Capgemini, of course.
Yes, of course. I'm going to ask one really quick follow-up. Because what you all described to me is the digital transformation journey and the prioritization process we've been on for the past 10 years, right? Do you see real-time 3D and digital twins and so forth being the next evolution of digital transformation for your organization or your clients?
Yeah, definitively, because it's really about now most of the industries and particularly in the manufacturing sector are designing on 3D, and you all know that scale data could not be scaled and be accessible for everything. So T3D is really for me the way that we could access this from everywhere. Really collaborating around this, but also using it to sell things as we've seen, to engage to create this emotional connection that we want to have with the final users, the final audience that we are targeting. So I think it's potentially the heart of the next online interaction that we will have, from my point of view.
No, yeah, I was say for, besides the airline industry, and thank you for the YVR team for coming in here. I mean, I think your experiences in healthcare are probably, between airline and healthcare, the most painful experiences in life to go through, figuratively and literally. And I think, it has to happen for us because, and again, not to freak anybody out, but when you walk into the hospital and you have all these data sources that aren't integrated into one, I mean, that's why you're feeling those painful points, and you want your experience through the hospital because it's enough already if you're dealing with yourself or a family member to be able to go through that piece of it and that shock of it, to have to deal with like wait times and inefficiencies and those kind of things. So it has to happen for us. I mean, we were very lucky when we visited our Unity team in Vancouver. We got to go to Vancouver Airport. I immediately took that information back to our hospital and said, we have to build a digital twin. We have to get our 20 to 1,000 different data sources into one place because it's the only thing that we can do in the future for us. And just like them, we need real-time data. You can't wait 15 minutes to make a decision when you have to make the decision right there.
And I'm going to just add a quick plug to this because I totally agree with everything both of you said, but maybe to add to it, it's a real-time 3D, yes, but geospatially contextualized. So just to do a shameless plug here.
No, it's true.
But without that context, the 3D is not enough by itself, but it is the future once we put it in the space.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Okay, I think we are going to open it to the audience now.
Yeah, we have about maybe like 20 to 25 minutes for questions. So I'm going to point and then we'll come up with the microphone. So does anyone have any questions?
Hi. So as I mentioned in my previous presentation, at Echo, we are really at the beginning of the journey for including the 3D technology to our customer journey. And I'm interested in your experience. What is the best way of ramping up? Coming from the bottom, so bottom-up demand for a new technology, or does it really need the top-down decision?
Yeah, maybe I can say, of course, a top-down decision could help, definitely.
Makes it easier.
As you know, but it's not enough. I guess to scale, again, we have to go back to the value of the thing that we're creating. So once you succeed in targeting your audience and creating this value for the final user, and of course the business value for the company, this is much more easy to scale. But you need to convince, of course, and the top-down initiative is definitively the best way to scale. I think the other thing is you have now, when we're starting from scratch to design such kind of experience, you have to get prepared for scaling. So the way the architectural principles that you used, this is really key. Platforming. So the basic that we have into every IT project should be applied to those projects as well. This is really key because otherwise you will have to redesign everything, to redo everything. So I would recommend to make sure that the things that you're doing are scalable. And this is back to hyperscaler technology, to technology that you can ensure you will scale, depending, of course, the scale that you are targeting. But yeah, this is my advice. And this is really the thing that you need to have at the early stage.
Yeah, I would agree that top-down is nice, but that doesn't usually happen that way, unfortunately. I don't think when Cincinnati Children's hired me, they thought, oh, we're going to hire this failed artist, frequent gamer who can see patients on the side. So they hired me to see patients, read imaging studies, and oh, by the way, I can also do all these other things that I'm really passionate about. And I hide that from them for a while, and I break a lot of rules and ask for a lot of forgiveness. But I think ultimately organizations who are going to be top leading organizations, the reason why I was drawn to a place like Cincinnati Children's as a healthcare thing is they are very innovative in their thinking. And so either they realize that they would be represented here in a gaming conference, Unity type of industry gaming type conference. I don't think they ever thought of that. Actually, a lot of them have broken my heart when I talk to them about hey, NVIDIA and Unity, and they're like, we don't know any of those companies. And so I think you do have to kind of, really push things forward, and there's a lot of push that we do just to get them to realize and recognize. But once they do, it's easy to sell it, and then that's for the better part of Unity and our other partners, that's where the cash starts flowing in. So that's good.
Yeah, thank you for the answer. But that was also our experience. So actually at Echo with this first 3D project, it was a bottom-up kickoff and trying to gain the management attention afterwards. So yeah.
So we did do a top-down one where he was our chief operating officer, Steve Davis, who's now our CEO. And once he saw what we were doing in VR, he actually asked us, we were building a new critical care building, a new 250-bed addition to our hospital. We have the largest children's hospital in the country. Again, weird when you think about Cincinnati and all that's going on there with that. But he wanted to train all of our staff that was going to be moving into our critical care building, which is our sickest patients. They wanted to move them all over in a day and a half without any serious events, which obviously you would want that. And he came to us asking, can we build a digital replica of that building or of that space, train all of our staff that's going to be working in that space that day, and do this kind of 6 months before we can even get into the building. And so our team did that. We trained over 1,500 employees in VR, probably the first time in healthcare that you've trained that many people. 75% of them were digital natives or novices, and so they were never experienced anything like virtual reality before. And we were able to move all of our patients over in a day and a half, 2 months earlier into the new space, and no serious events, which is all we really care about at the end. So it does work kind of both ways. You create enough of a stir, they'll start paying attention.
Other questions?
One in the back.
First off, great panel. And I actually have a question for Rock, but I just wanted to share my admiration for the Children's Hospital. That's really cool stuff. So Rock, I think one of the things you didn't touch on is just how quickly you spooled up a really effective expertise and bunch of significant resource in terms of number of Unity developers and a significant number. Can you talk a little bit about that and how you avoided the challenge of waiting 2 years until you could hire that number of people externally, and how did you scale up that capability from resource you already had?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it was a combination of, we started small with a team that was just there experimenting, doing the bottom-up thing first, and seeing the results we were getting in such a short and rapid time, that enabled us to have the conversations, start to have deeper conversations also with Unity directly. And that's where some of the support services you offer also came into play, like the integrated solutions, and eventually that also led to directly recruiting a couple of, like a small team of Unity experts that works directly with our teams now. That allows us to both move faster on some topics where that expertise doesn't exist in-house yet, but it's also training our teams to be more effective in the future. So it has been a very rapid scale out. So yeah, we started this project in August, and now we are 1 quarter away from being ready for a first customer launch which will go into vehicles. Additionally to that, from what I've been told, we've moved a lot faster than some other companies in a similar type of engagements. So yeah, it's been a very smooth ramp and very successful one at that.
Ryan, you mentioned it a little earlier, but I thought it was really interesting when we were talking this morning over coffee that you found it easier than you would have anticipated to recruit the appropriate talent to develop on Unity, many of whom come from very different industries. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, it seems like everybody but me and the team is a Unity developer certified. So I feel like a little bit that I need to do that part of it too. But no, I mean it's at this point seems fairly universal tool that everybody's using. I mean, we've looked at some of the other game engines and what that can do, but for us it's got to be something that's easy to use, easy to code, easy to transfer to other areas, because we're obviously looking at scalable stuff, and that's something where we're also looking at environments that we talked a little bit about where we're in a high equity is a huge topic in healthcare. You got to have everything has to be an equitable solution so that you can give them the same amount of care that no matter what the resource setting is, and you have to be able to figure that out. And so one of the benefits that we saw with our Unity and our developers is Unity creates a very equitable solution across a high-tech to low-tech environment. And then when you go into hospitals, we're in a very high-tech environment at Cincinnati Children's. We have 10 developers, Unity developers on staff. Most hospitals, I don't think any hospitals even have that. We have IS resources. We have every hardware you could possibly want and ask for. But then we're working with hospitals, going to Africa in March, to work with a hospital in Kenya to get them our same solution, and all I'm bringing is a laptop and a headset, and they're going to keep that, and they're going to have to be able to run off of that. We're also looking at ways to port that into like the PS5. Obviously, everybody's looking to port everything into Vision Pro, and so we have to figure out what it is that will sustain and survive in those environments, and it's a very equitable digital solution for many things, and I think that's the great part. Yeah. Although my C-suite did know Pokemon Go, so that was a helpful selling point that hey, this is the company that created this.
Who knew that would be such an effective sales tool?
It is.
Over here.
Okay, thank you. Just one question related to this, because I guess all of you have an in-house developers. So how important it is to have that in-house capabilities of, creating your own solutions to really accelerate, this adoption of these immersive technologies across industries. You work in different industries. Maybe you, Alexander, you work with more industry related. But how important it is that? Because I guess having a standardized or standard tool like Unity or Unity-based solutions is key. But I think that having that internal capacity is key as well. You can always rely on, Unity developers or Unity companies, but having that internal capacity, the importance of that.
Yeah, I think it's critical. It's like kind of becoming mission critical, and I'm making that argument every day to our group. Not only that, but I think these partnerships are very important for us too with Unity. So, application that we got NIH, so that's National Institutes of Health funding, which is pretty competitive funding. But we got some funding in 2018 to build an application. We worked on that for like 6 years, and then from there. And that was our in-house developer team, but we never got to a point where we could scale that. And that's where we partnered with Unity's team in order, we were very fortunate. We got a large donation to be able to build a platform that's scalable to other centers. And, interestingly, with that application, or with that donation, it was a father of a child who could not have a surgery where he was living, because they didn't have that resource, and he just didn't understand how that was possible in this day and age. And so, he was very invested in this idea of scaling out this solution, but we wouldn't have been able to get that funding. We wouldn't have been able to get anywhere with that if we didn't have in-house developers. I'm 100% sure of that. And I think also when you're learning new things and new softwares, even if you have 1 or 2 people on staff that can bring those things in, because, we work with a lot of startups, and there's a lot of hype with a lot of things. You have to have somebody who knows things beforehand. So I'm often on meetings, and we just bought a bunch of Quest Pros, and I'm excited about it and this stuff. And then our developers like, yeah, you might not want to buy any more of those because they've bailed on that. And so it's important to have these people here to save money and cost savings, because they know the space so well that if you're going to invest in this kind of stuff, you almost need that resource. And that's again something that I would be, speaking a lot about right now, honestly, to a lot of healthcare people.
I would add one thing here, that it depends a little bit on the use case you're pursuing, right? Most of our cases are where we are building some type of in-house technology platform or a solution that uses Unity at the heart, but it's not just Unity. It powers other things. So that's where not having an in-house team would be almost impossible to succeed with. But you can have situations where you are primarily just building content or solutions with Unity as the main part of the solution. And that can be done mostly with non-technical designers and a smaller set of teams, or even outsourced part of it just for the content. So it is a bit of a nuanced conversation. On the other hand, also to this point, what having an in-house team enables is, for us, we started with 4 engineers last year. Now we have over 40 licenses across the company that are working with Unity. But more importantly, that core team that started all this is powering 7 demos for the CES this year. So without them, we wouldn't have this presence. Now we have massive marketing presence all of a sudden that is built on that core expertise.
I think for the consultants too, you want to have.
Yeah, I was just going to ask, Alexander, what's the difference working with a client that has some in-house development capabilities versus none whatsoever?
And obviously, we're facing the true situation, of course. It's not an industry or an industry strategy, depending on the organization of the company. Personally, I would prefer really to, when we're addressing a company where this is kind of a core expertise, because it's on a long-lasting collaboration with the search organization. This is much more easy, because this means that there's a real investment behind this. So of course we will complete with our capabilities, expertise, and especially when it comes to scale. But this is really good, because the companies are investing into their core capabilities, their core framework, are really investing on a long-term basis. So this is really deeply anchored into the strategy, the IT strategy. So often when we are working with research company, it's much more engaging that when we are standing. But we also have, of course, experience with other companies that are totally outsourcing these kind of things, which obviously works. But on a general basis, I would definitely prefer when there's a corporate because it's much more easy to discuss.
Sustainability too. To maintain the applications and those kind of things, because nothing is ever finalized. We've learned in our process.
That's software.
Yeah.
Slight plug for our partnership. I mean, we're very aware of the scarcity of talent in the market that's familiar with building on Unity for the enterprise. And one of the core missions of our partnership is to grow that talent pool. And by tapping into Capgemini's 350,000 people and ramping them up and certifying them up on Unity, that's going to create more talent in the market for all of us to benefit from.
Yeah, but that's also the beauty of your technology. We can easily train and educate people, our software engineers, especially those who are specialized in C# and other object coding language. For them, I think it's really accessible. It's not a totally new framework language. Few things to of course, that they have to be educated on. But the transition is quite smooth. So that's a really good point. And we can also observe that for newcomers, now this is also part of the program for more and more universities and schools than we could observe 10 years in the past. So I think things are really progressing. Yeah.
I think the one thing I would just add to that too is the ability to accelerate things. So, we had been working on our platform for, again, a good 5-6 years with some grant funding, and it was very fortuitous that actually we were doing an envisioning session with Unity in October of, I think now, last year. It was that fast. So Sheila knows. Yeah. And so we had been working on for 6 years, and we were talking to our donors at the time. They're like, is there any way we could get this out faster? And I was like, the only way we can get this out faster is to be able to work directly with Unity, because, we, looking to hire new people, this and that. And so, they actually increased the amount that they were donating so we can get it out faster. What we had been working on for 6 years, they did it, the team with Unity with our team did in 4 months. And now has already been, essentially become live as of, July, to be able to start get to other centers. So, to me, again, we cry a lot in the healthcare, sorry, but the tearjerker part is we're going to save more children's lives now because we have the ability to access a tool that they can use to plan better surgeries. And again, I'm excited for the opportunity to go to these other centers to see, how do we get this there? But I'm also very confident that they're going to be able to adopt this tool just because, you're using a gaming platform. This is going to be something that is going to be very intuitive, very easy to adopt, and is exciting because, we have that opportunity to really change how things are, for a lot of these kids.
That's awesome.
Hey guys, we've heard today from you and a lot of the other speakers about a lot of business outcomes, the kind of desired output that you're looking to get. Not heard so much around sort of business KPIs and tracking towards that. Wonder if there's anything that you can share in terms of either while you're going through a development phase or once you're at a stage where you've essentially released a product and it's now in live production. What kind of KPIs are you guys looking at in terms of either engagement of the tool or some sort of ROI pull through from the back end?
For us, it's we have a couple of different metrics that we use to measure quality of the map rendering, for example, how users engage with it and how they perceive it compared to other products. And we've already been measuring this before it's released, right? The product is not final yet, like I mentioned. That's happening early next year. But we've already seen those metrics on a consistent uptick, very quick, and we overtook our existing product that is built entirely in-house pretty early this year already. Not on all the metrics. There are certain metrics where we are behind because of the functional limitations that are not there yet, because we need to rebuild some of the basics. But on those metrics that we care about, like the qualitative aspects, some of the performance metrics as well, we are already tracking well ahead, or we see the trajectory that's going to take us there. So it's been so far very promising from that angle. The other part is just the customer engagement, right? How are we tracking against the deals that we make with customers, with our former product and with our new product offering? And I can't really talk much about details here, but it is another aspect where we wanted to turn our product from something that was almost seen as a detractor, or it was just like it's part of the deal, but it was not really doing much for the deals, to enabling new deals, or actively allow us to upsell the product even. And we are very much seeing that today already, even though we are not fully live yet. We are now seen as a thing that we come to the customer with first, just to be able to highlight the advantages of going with TomTom solutions. Yeah.
I mean, from our standpoint, this is the dark side of healthcare that I don't like to talk about, but we are able to bill for some of these things. So 3D printing is now billable. That's kind of where a lot of things have started, and I think it's going to continue in that direction where you're going to be able to bill for these services and be covered by insurances to some degree. But that aside, I think for Cincinnati Children's, our goal and mission has become a global entity, and so and to spread not only our experts but experts of our partners. Pediatrics is one of those really nice areas, and I kind of akin it to like a playground where a lot of kids are having fun and playing on the playground. Like that's kind of how pediatrics is. We're not as competitive as the adult world, where we're not competing against trying to get patients this and that. We really want to try to make as much of an impact for all kids worldwide, and do that by any means necessary. And I think that allows us to then expand our expertise worldwide. So I think that ROI is one. I think research, we're a huge research institution. We're one of the top 3 for NIH research. And so, this allows us to do new and innovative research that we weren't really able to do before. So I think that's another ROI metric. And I think ultimately, the outcomes. So, how for healthcare, the trend that it's going is, at least in the US, you'll get a certain amount of money for each patient that you are taking care of. And I think a lot of the other worldwide healthcare systems are working like this. You cannot make mistakes anymore. You cannot have reoperations and complications and keep patients in the hospital for days on end. You have to do the best possible operation one time and get the patients out and have them have a really good outcome. So with that, I mean, that's an easy ROI. The better we can personalize care and we can individualize their treatment, the better that they're going to have for an outcome. And so I think it's again more of us catching up to that idea than it is that that's what's the real value that we're adding.
Okay, awesome. That may have been our last question since we don't want to keep you from happy hour, but thank you so much to all of our amazing speakers.